What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into the PWTorch Fireside Chat for Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. How's it going, folks? I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zach Haydorn, and we are here today on the show. It's Wednesday afternoon, so we're here to preview tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Glad you guys are all here with us. This week's episode of Dynamite is an interesting one. And it's heading, like, the show, and not just AEW, but WWE too, is heading into this kind of, I don't know, I'd call it like a bit of a downswing before a heavy upswing in the new year. I mean, look, people have holiday stuff to do, family stuff to do, friend stuff to do, shopping. There's all sorts of sports and whatnot on television. So there's just a lot competing for people's time right now. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how wrestling, WWE and AEW, manage that and deal with that. And what do they prioritize, with neither company having a pay-per-view event in quite some time. WWE is coming at the end of January. AEW's is not happening until early March. So it's a long time. Both companies have a long road ahead. AEW a little longer in terms of pay-per-view, but AEW has made it a priority, though, to build major television shows. And I don't mean like Dynamites. I mean like Winter is Coming editions of Dynamite. That habitually, since the company began, has been a big time show for them. And so that's on the calendar. So, they do have something to be working towards and building towards here. Just not your traditional pay-per-view event. But curious to see what they do tonight. There's some big stuff that's on tap that they need to, that AEW really needs to hit a home run on. And I'm curious to see what's planned. Once again, thanks everybody for joining me. Azan, Zach, and others, appreciate you being with me. If for some reason you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Please, please, please. We really appreciate it. We've got new content, live content every single day of the week. So you can dig into that. There's interviews that you can dig into. Our weekly fireside chat. Our flagship fireside chat show is on Thursday afternoons, and we'll be live tomorrow. With that, Tyler Sage and I, so you can join us then. But if you hit subscribe and hit the notification button, you will be notified when all those great things happen, so you don't miss anything here on the YouTube channel. Sean, what's going on? Thanks for joining us, man. Do that if you haven't done so, and tell a friend if you haven't done so either. That would be much appreciated too. Okay, so with that said, let's get into Dynamite tonight. And the big news of the show, most likely, unless CM Punk comes back or something, and we'll get to that, is MJF will be on Dynamite in some capacity for the first time since winning the AEW World Championship from Jon Moxley at the Full Gear pay-per-view from a couple weeks ago. We heard from William Regal last week, and last week Regal pretty much just kind of set the table for what we're going to hear this week from MJF. He kind of healed the audience a bit. He worked to make sure that he got a negative reaction when he could, but then kind of punted to this week where, hey, MJF's going to tell you everything that you need to know, next week. So tune in next week. And now it's next week. And so we need to hear from him. And we need to hear from him in a big way, and in a way that, in my mind, clearly addresses how the audience is supposed to feel about him moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing here. And based on William Regal's promo last week, MJF's going to be a heel. So I want to see MJF heel on the crowd, and heel on the audience, and heel on Jon Moxley, and heel on the roster. No fun business, no kind of egging the crowd on in a MJF act kind of way. This needs to be about heat. He's working with a babyface now. At Winter is Coming, and Ricky Starks. We'll get to him in a second. He's not going to be able to effectively work with babyfaces if those babyfaces look weak when MJF's out there, because MJF is getting cheered and MJF is kind of, leaning into those cheers by doing his MJF shtick. MJF as a performer has to come up with a way to freshen up the heel act, because people have come to like the MJF shtick, the MJF act. And so he's got to pivot on that if he's going to stay a heel, and he's got to find a way to freshen that up so that he can use it to get heat and get his baby faces over. That's clear. And I want to see, look, he doesn't have to necessarily even hit a home run as far as that goes tonight. Okay. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that MJF has to show that recognition. In my eyes, he's got to show that he sees and understands, like, okay, I'm a heel now. That's the direction that we chose to go. Could have gone the other way. Could have gone the babyface route. We didn't. Tony Khan went the heel route. And so now you go and you stay that way. Here's the thing. Azan jumping in with a question. What's he's not supposed to insult the crowd? And it's like, no. He can insult the crowd, but what good does insulting the crowd do if insulting the crowd as a heel is going to get you cheered? I would pose that question back to you. Like, that's not a smart move. Traditionally insulting the crowd would lead to some heat. But if it doesn't, then yeah, you don't want to play that card. You don't want to play that card. You want to play a different card. You want to do something different. It's going to take work. He's going to have to work at this because he's fighting upstream a little bit now. And we'll see. We'll see what the Regal factor does for him here, because I think Regal set a nice foundation for MJF to build on last week as far as being a heel goes. I thought that was a positive of last week's show from Regal's perspective in laying that foundation that hopefully will make it easier for MJF to get booed here. But it's not a given, and he's going to have to work on it. And that may mean having to change up the act a little bit. It depends on what MJF wants to do. If MJF wants to be, this super heel that can draw money and can be a ratings hit and can get over baby faces, well, yeah, he's going to have to change things up a bit. If he wants to just kind of be what he is and get strong reactions, but still kind of get to play however he wants to play in the sandbox, well, then, yeah, he can keep doing the same thing, but it won't be to results that benefit on the business on the business side of things. So that's what I'm looking for him to do. And I'm not looking for 100% perfection on this. I want to see on his part a recognition of, okay, I'm trying to get booed here, so let's get booed, and whatever that means, that's what it means. To me, that's a good heel. The other thing I'm looking for here is a cohesive narrative of why, after the promo that the two, and by two, I mean MJF and William Regal had in the ring, going back and forth at each other, and MJF saying that he's, wanted to kill himself after getting an email from Regal that kind of shot down his WWE hopes. Why all of a sudden they're on the same page, and why all of a sudden Regal ultimately sided with MJF. Like, that to me is the other big thing that we need the box checked for coming out of the promo tonight. Why did that make sense? And you got to tell that story. That's a big swerve. A lot of us saw it coming, of course, but from a story perspective, strict narrative perspective, that's a big swerve based on the chapters that we saw and that we quote unquote read before the pay-per-view. So, I want to see that happen, and I want to see them address that, and I want to see them thread that needle in a strong way. Lastly, we need Ricky Starks. We need Ricky Starks out there building up the match at Winter's Come. I believe Ricky Starks is a strong babyface, and opposite MJF, we will see just how strong of a babyface he is, and just how strong of a babyface personality he can be, and just how much the fans are on his side on a major world title level opposite somebody like MJF. I think we'll find that out pretty quickly. And a lot of that, as I said, is going to rest on the shoulders of MJF since he is the bigger star. But Ricky Starks needs to deliver too. He needs to hold up his end of the bargain, be the strong babyface, like don't whimper away like in MJF's shadow, but stand up there and look like you belong. And I think Ricky Starks has that in him for sure. I mean, there's definitely a swagger and a charisma there that we've seen all tournament long, in which he won last week. So, yeah, I mean, I want to see Ricky Starks kind of hold his own, stand his ground, and show that he belongs with MJF. So I'm jumping into the some of the comments here. You guys are having one hell of a conversation. I would say that AEW, is not quite like 2017 WWE or 2000 WCW. Like, especially 2000 WCW. That was some really bad stuff. Like some really bad stuff. And we all have criticisms about WWE and AEW, and me too. But with AEW, the one thing that it has that 2000 WCW didn't have was just really solid wrestling. And you get that week to week on AEW Dynamite. Whether or not like the stories work, and a lot of times they don't, or the matches make sense, a lot of times they don't, you do still get a good wrestling product. You can't say that about 2000 WCW. Dennis, hello. Thanks for being here, man. Think about this. He's already done what one of his idols couldn't, and is the world champion of a major company. MJF is ahead of where so many others have been at his age. Yeah, he is. He really is. And that's why he's such a valuable piece, to the AEW puzzle. And is such an important guy for Tony Khan, because he's popular and he's a star and he's a homegrown star. My issue is that I don't believe that they have him aligned properly. We'll see how that goes tonight, on his first night out there. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that, that MJF can turn the audience and not lean into that shtick for cheers. Like I strongly believe that, we need a consistent MJF character though. Like, for him to be a strong world champion and have good matches that people care about, we need to know how to feel about him. And that is a central point that I want to see addressed in the promo tonight. Cool. Okay, we'll move on from there. Also, we have a Willow Nightingale versus Anna Jay match. Not expecting too much here as far as that match goes. It's just I'm not really sure what we're looking to get out of this one. You have Jamie Hayter as your AEW Women's World Champion at this point. Is Willow Nightingale in the conversation as a challenger? Potentially down the road. But Jamie Hayter is in a similar position as some other stars, in that she's positioned as a heel right now, but really the fans want her to succeed. And so putting Willow Nightingale in that situation is not great for Willow Nightingale. So I'm not expecting too much with this match. Anna Jay still, I think, she may even have hit her ceiling as far as her work goes. There was for a while there consistent progression from a match perspective, where her matches kept getting better and better and better, and her character more fleshed out. And then she's kind of hit a plateau since that point, and has flatlined as far as her growth goes. And so what you have to wonder is did she reach the top? Is this kind of all that she's going to have from an in-ring perspective? Or is just kind of taking a while to get to that, to climb the mountain a little bit more. So, so I'm not expecting much here. Yeah, Zach, I mean, she's friends with a heel, more than a heel herself. Like, you're gonna have a tough time convincing me that she's not a heel in that instance. Like, you don't have baby faces, run around being friends with heels. Like, I don't think that's something that can work properly. And so I would argue that that's not what she is. I think that she's being painted as a heel. And if that is what's happening, and she is this baby face that's just willingly hanging out with heels, I question that booking decision and that character decision very much so, to get in line, to get her in line so fans know how to react. Sean, jumping in here. Jamie did not seem as over last week as I thought. The Baker Hayter story could be a slippery slope. They can't make it to where Hayter is the only one that doesn't see Baker turning. Yeah, you're right. I mean, she's a muddy character right now in terms of how the audience is supposed to feel about her. And the fact that Britt Baker is so undefined as a character doesn't help Hayter either. People are friends with bad people all the time. Yes, they are, but not in a storyline sense like this usually. Like, I use Star Wars as a term all the time. You don't have, Han Solo is not yucking it up with Darth Vader, or, Captain America is not, siding with Thanos at certain moments and not at others. That's just not something that happens in those situations, because it muddies the waters. And so no, I don't think that's not going to work. If that's the plan, that's not going to work. And if that is the plan, I mean, that doesn't pose good things for Jamie Hayter's championship reign right out of the gate here. Okay, so in addition to that match, we've got a Jade Cargill celebration. I'm assuming she's going to be out there celebrating yet another day as TBS champion. This should be interesting. This should be very interesting. Not necessarily because I think it's going to be like a main event segment or it's going to lead to something like uber significant, but I wonder what's in my antenna is going up here because I wonder what's going down from that perspective. And are we finally going to get a legitimate challenger for Jade in this segment? You're promoting like a big time talking segment for Jade Cargill. And to me, that screams angle. That screams like, hey, we're going to get an angle here. We're going somewhere with this Jade Cargill stuff. Her next opponent is this person. And we get to that feud right here. And that would be so refreshing. I mean, I'm ready to see Jade Cargill. I don't know what's the best word I can describe it. Threatened a little bit. I'm ready to see her get to a point where she has to dig a little bit deeper on her matches and on her title defenses and as champion. And I mean, they've built up the record like substantially at this point, right? I'm not saying anybody should dethrone her as TBS champion or end her undefeated streak at this point, but I think that what we need to see is just a threat where it's not just a foregone conclusion that Jade's going to roll through. And because she's getting this segment, because it's in lights a little bit, to me, it screams that, hey, something is going to happen here. And as Azan says in the chat here, maybe it's a Statlander return. That would be along the lines of what I mean as far as a significant moment goes for Jade Cargill and this title reign. And Zach in the chat, which I'm going to flash up on the screen in a minute, has my biggest fear, which I was going to get to. So I'm glad you got to it, Zach. Maybe Bow Wow shows up, given the Snoop Dogg connection. This could be the door Mercedes coming in. So, yeah, we had to talk about this Bow Wow thing, I guess. What are we doing here, folks? I guess that's the best way I can put it. Bow Wow against Jade Cargill? Like, is that seriously a road that we're going down? Like, I don't see any value in that. You know, I mean, if like Shaq is one thing. If you're going to bring in Shaq, he's got some name recognition. It's big name recognition. I just don't get it. You know, I mean, I don't think Bow Wow brings a big audience with him. I know he's got a lot of social media followers. Lots of people have lots of social media followers. It doesn't mean it's a good fit. He just doesn't seem relevant. And this, frankly, it just seems below Jade Cargill at this point. I think that Jade Cargill has so much more value than working with Bow Wow. I think she's a bigger star than that. I think that she brings more to the table as a champion than that. I think she's just a better wrestler than, you know, having this pseudo celebrity match with Bow Wow. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, Zach, I don't follow Bow Wow's career. I can admit that. And I don't know how famous he is, but I know there's a lot of other folks that question his just ability to bring new eyes to the product. And so to me, it's like, get Jade involved in something that matters on your show, you know, and build her star power that way. That's, you know, it's like what they say all the time about, not what they say, but Wade says all the time. You know, the idea that, hey, like, man, we got to get on SportsCenter if we're WWE. We need our SportsCenter moment from WrestleMania. And it's like, okay, you know, WWE has a larger audience than SportsCenter does. So, like, why are you angling for that type of coverage when you yourself have a bigger audience and are a bigger, like, draw? And I think the same way here with Jade Cargill. Like, it's like, yeah, maybe you'll get some TMZ hits or something like that, but I don't know that you're activating a big audience to watch this. And so I don't get it. I think it's a misuse of a big time talent in Jade Cargill. It certainly seems like we're going that way, though. It certainly seems like we're going that way. So I hope it's somebody like Statlander. I'm definitely not holding my breath, though. I mean, ESPN as a brand is bigger than WWE, maybe, but like from a viewership perspective, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think SportsCenter like outdraws SmackDown, does it? Like SportsCenter at like 10 o'clock at night. Someone can check me on that, but I don't believe it does. So that's what I mean, you know, as far as that goes. Is on. Good question. Good clarification too. This is hilarious. Thank you, Steven. Oh my goodness. Jeff Jarrett is more relevant in 2022 than Bow Wow. Unfortunately, I think that's probably accurate. So yeah, I think that's probably accurate though, for better or worse. Worse. Okay. Also tonight we've got a bit of a dream match. I don't think that you would put this on your dream match list, you know, 2 years ago, but Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood in a singles match is a dream match now, you know, and you never would have thought that again, like 2 years ago, you know. But here, Dax Harwood has had a heck of a year in the tag division with FTR across multiple companies, but also as a single star. You know, he's had really good singles matches with guys like CM Punk and others. So the fact that he's going to collide with Bryan Danielson here, from a match perspective and from an in-ring perspective, like, this will be can't miss stuff. Like, I think this, if you are an AEW viewer already, and if you're going to watch Dynamite already, this is going to be something that is going to be a great match. Now, the bottom line is, though, there is no story behind this. There's no reason for this match to be taking place. Like, Danielson has been involved with with Chris Jericho. He's been hovering around the ROH World Title picture, and now all of a sudden you got this Danielson Harwood match, and the hook and the story is, you can even read Tony Khan's social media post about this match, and the story here is, hey, this is going to be a great match. Watch this match, and I want, like, AEW's got to get away from that, and I'm going to keep calling it out every time it happens that way, because it's just not. It's not going to be how you grow your audience long term, and it's just not how you should be presenting pro wrestling feuds and programs. Like, to have like this undefined, out of context match with Bryan Danielson and Dax Harwood, like, you gotta have a story here if you're going to do this match. It's a big enough match from a dream match perspective in 2022, where you owe, as a promoter, you owe that match more than just, hey, this is a good match, watch it. Put this match on the Winter is Coming show, and then have a couple week build to it if that's where you want to go. And if you don't have anything for it, and you don't have a reason to trot it out there, then don't. Trot out something else. It's just the way it should be, and it's not because the match is going to be bad. It's the other way. It's the exact opposite reason. It's because the match can be so good that you got to put some juice behind it, so that people that may not watch, or that may not make sure to view every minute of Dynamite, will make sure to tune in for this one. And so it's going to be a great match. Yes, I mean, I suppose it deserves time on your show, but are you getting the most out of it, is my point. And no, I don't think you are. Yeah, I mean, look, so Dom gets 10 to 12 minutes to stink up the joint on Raw, wrestling badly, but Dax versus Bryan is a problem. I mean, honestly, Zach, it depends on what you want from wrestling. Like, look, on Fight TV right now, there's probably 30 different shows you can watch that are going to have a good match on it. But you're not going to go watch all of those, because, like, why would you? Why do you care? You got to make people care. Good wrestling is all around these days, and so you got to make people care. And I think Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood is such a cool damn match that it deserves more than just, hey, we're going to have this thing. I'm not sure Dominic got 12 minutes either. Oh, Sean's calling you out on that too, Zach. No, I'm just kidding. John didn't get 10 to 12 minutes, but there's a story there. He's a chicken crap heel who's cocky, and you want him to get his butt kicked. Yeah, that's it. That's the story. And that story's getting heat too, which is important. So I want more for this match, because it deserves more. It deserves more fanfare. It deserves more time. It deserves more build. And not only does it deserve that, but it can, but it can be more impactful if you give it more build as well. And last but not least, let's have a conversation about the Death Triangle versus the Elite in a best of 7 series. This is going to be match 3, and the Elite are down 2-0. Man, the match that they had, match 1 at Full Gear, was pretty darn great. Like, I thought that was a really cool trios, AEW trios title style match. Spot, action. They knew what the audience wanted, and they gave it to them. And they had a bit of a story there too, Stephen. Oh, a bit of a dance off. Yeah, you do have to be able to deliver in the ring, for sure. You absolutely do. I don't think I did not say that you didn't have to deliver in the ring. Like, I hope that I'm not trying to convey that, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm trying to convey that, because that's not That's not what I'm saying. You have to be able to deliver in the ring for sure. I don't think Dominic is failing at delivering what he's doing in the ring. He's not being asked to do much. I don't think he's failing at that. Sure, you can argue that point, but it doesn't change my point, which is even if Harwood and Danielson is going to deliver in the ring, you can't just forget about the story either. Still needs to be there. That's my point. Didn't forget about This Is On. Didn't forget. I got it. Back to Death Triangle versus Elite. So I liked the first match, and it had a little bit of story in there too, with Rey Fenix like using the hammer and winning the match because he's using the hammer. The second match, I'm throwing my hands up about the second match. Like, that thing was like such a middle finger to CM Punk on the heels of a Kenny Omega interview of like saying like, hey guys, just kind of like forget about this. And it was so egregious, like in poking the CM Punk bear, if you will, that you have to wonder after all this whether or not like they've come to some sort of agreement with CM Punk on what's going to happen. Like, this was egregious stuff multiple times in the match. And so I'm in two different camps here for right now. The first one being, okay, I'm cool with it. If they know that CM Punk is signed, and he's not signed, but if he's going to come back to the company after he's done recovering from his injury and do some business, I'm all right with that for sure. If that's not the case though, and if it's like Azan's saying here, the second match was just for the Chicago crowd, I just vehemently disagree with the approach that they took in that match. Like, you know, you just can't. What's the point in doing that? Like, it's so meta. It's got nothing to do. Like, none of that stuff that they did is like will help win a match. Like the failing lariat, flipping lariat thing that Adam Page does. What the hell is that move called? Why can't I remember right now? Somebody help me out. The buckshot lariat, the failure buckshot lariat. Like, it's just, that's not going to help you win a match. Like, why are we doing those kinds of things? Like, I thought it was a bit childish, as Sean says here, and just like kind of out of place. Like, I don't know who it helped. I don't think it. I mean, it made the match like a little bit hotter, I guess, because just of the nature of the crowd, and the crowd being Chicago and Punk fans. But I think you would have had the same type of heat without that kind of thing, because of just the underlying story that's there, and you didn't need to lean into it in that egregious of a way. Let's put it that way. So I thought it was a little bit unprofessional. I thought it was a little unbecoming, a little petty, and just entirely unnecessary in the Death Triangle versus Elite feud, which is the feud that's actually happening on television. Like, so it was like half of a match with them, and like, a good chunk of the match was against this weird non-existent CM Punk thing. So, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it when it was going on. I don't like it here, looking back in hindsight. But I am intrigued as to what they do tonight. Do they put the Elite down 3-0? I don't know. The key for me is that they keep these matches fresh. You had like the big spot fest, the first match. You had the what am I saying? You had the match last week with like we'll call it the CM Punk match. I want to see him take it a third direction here. I want to see like a different kind of match, in the in the kind of the Rolodex of this best of 7. I don't want to see the Full Gear match just done again. I want more of a story. I'd love to see them just take it down to the studs and just have a different kind of match. Have a match that doesn't leave the ring at all, or something like that, or that really involves a lot of selling on the part of the Young Bucks or something, and they can overcome. I want to see just a different style of match, and I think they can deliver that. Obviously, they're supremely talented, and so. But that's what I'm looking for tonight in that one. No CM Punk references either. And then last but not least, we've got Samoa Joe versus AR Fox. Another match. It's an open challenge. My guess is we get a very clean Samoa Joe win, and then some type of confrontation with Joe and Wardlow. Maybe Wardlow's going to be on that Ring of Honor card on December 10th. Maybe that. I think that's a possibility. I think it's a strong possibility at this point. Joe as a heel, yikes! Last week did not work great. Joe was not able to fully turn the fans. I think he's going to have a hard time with that across the board. So, yeah. Unfortunately, kind of a weird heel turn, but yeah, that's my expectation for that tonight. If you're thinking about, oh gosh, do I go to DraftKings and put my money on AR Fox? No, I would not be doing that if I were you guys. All right, we'll call it a day there, guys. Thank you very, very much. We'll have all your AEW Dynamite coverage tonight on PWTorch.com. Wade's report, Tyler's report will be up there. And you can follow along with your analysis there live as a second screen. And we'll be back then tomorrow, right here live on YouTube, talking AEW Dynamite, talking about this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, all the news of the week, and who the hell knows what else. So thanks so much for being here, Zach, Steven, Sean, Dennis, Sir Fark. Anybody did I forget? Azan. Oh my gosh, I hope I forget you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the PW Torch Fireside Chat flagship. Later.